within reach. Let me first introduce myself. My name is Alina and I'm from Microsoft, and I'm going to be the master of ceremony for today's event. Accompanying me is Kananga, who will also help us running today's webinar so that it progresses smoothly. We also have our amazing speakers here with us, Daisy Trowbridge and Rosie Capron. First things first, before we jump into the main event, allow me to introduce MyEduSolve. MyEduSolve is a technology company which focuses on education. We have a mission to empower and improve the quality, the future readiness of the youth in Indonesia through online learning and certification. We provide various classes which meet the growing demand of the digital era. To find out more, you can kindly check us out on our social media, such as Instagram, LinkedIn, and also Facebook at MyEduSolve. Before that, we would also like to introduce an exciting event that is coming up soon, which is Microsoft Office Specialist and Adobe Certified Professional Championship, which in 2019 was attended by 500 plus participants from 28 schools all over Indonesia. Kananga will now show us a brief video of the previous championship.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, I think we can just share this later and just go straight to the interview.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, sure. Well, okay, we can get on with the next session and look at the video later on. And I would like also to introduce Adobe. Some of you may be quite unfamiliar with Adobe Certified Professional, or this may even be the first time you ever heard of it. For those of you who are familiar with Adobe Certified Associate, they are basically the same thing. Adobe Certified Professional is previously named as Adobe Certified Associate. It is an industry and internationally recognized certification issued by Adobe to validate one's proficiency in using Adobe Creative Clouds. Now, also, I would like to let you know that we will also be announcing the previous giveaway winners today, so be sure to stick around until the end to know the winner. Microsoft would also like to show our gratitude to all of our partners and media partners. Thank you to Adobe Certified Professional, Certiport, A-Star Solution, Niaga Hoster, Codex Telkom Indonesia, Welcome Indonesia, Daily Social, Block 71, and all the other university student organizations which have helped us and supported our events. In order for this event to run smoothly, I would also like to remind everyone that you have filled out the pre-survey of this event, turn off the microphone during the presentation or the discussion, and if you want to turn on the camera, please wear appropriate clothing and don't act provocatively. And if there are questions, please submit them on the chat box or click raise hand and wait till I invite you. You can also ask in Bahasa Indonesia and we will help you translate later on. Now let me introduce the speakers for today's event with the topic of Your Dream Job Within Reach. We have Daisy Trowbridge with us, who is a leader in the education and technology space across the public and private sectors. She is also known for her thought leadership and public speaking. She has led Adobe's global education programs team to inspire and empower the next generation to be lifelong creators, including the Adobe Education Exchange, which is an online community where 450,000 plus educators find and share resources, connect with each other, and can pursue free professional development and seek inspiration. We also have the amazing Rosie Capron with us today, who drives the strategic development and partnerships for the Adobe Certified Professional Program. Prior to working with the Global Education Programs team at Adobe, she managed civic engagement and student leadership programs at Stanford University and Wesleyan University. I would also like to remind everyone again that you can always put down your questions on the chat box, or you can unmute and raise your hand and we will call you on later on during the Q&A session. Now, without further ado, let's get on with the first session. In this session, we will be conducting an interview with Daisy. Hi, Daisy, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you. So excited to be here and to speak with you all.
Yeah, totally. Is there anything you would like to share before we get on with the interview?
Well, I guess I'll tell you I'm based in California in the United States and have visited Indonesia a couple of times and really wish I could be with you all in person, but I'm glad to have a chance to connect with you by Zoom and to share some of my experiences and thoughts about creative industries and the ways in which you can work on getting your dream job.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time again. We really appreciate it. So yeah, I guess we can start on with the interview. Maybe you can start with telling us about your work with Adobe.
Sure. Well, I lead a global team of mostly former educators, and our goal is to inspire and empower the next generation to be creators. And we do a lot of work with educators to help them be effective teachers and to teach the kinds of skills that we know from industry really matter. A lot of our research work is trying to understand the landscape. So what kinds of skills are employers seeking? What are the things that they value most and often have trouble finding? Creative skills are high on the top of everyone's lists, whether it's work Adobe does or LinkedIn, uh, the World Economic Forum, The Economist. When they're listing the critical skills, they're very frequently at the top of that list are creativity, communication, creative problem solving. So it's my honor to be able to work at Adobe and to take and translate some of the insights that we're seeing from business and share them with education, share them with students as well. It's been really exciting to see the growth of the creative economy over the last 10 years. And particularly during the pandemic, we've seen that creative industries have really exploded as we've been connecting much more digitally and communicating much more with each other digitally. So I'm honored to work at Adobe on our research pieces, to focus on education, and to have an opportunity to speak to students like yourselves and hear from you about the things that you're doing.
Yeah, I think it's really amazing with what you're doing, inspiring people, students, and also educators to get into the creative industries and also developing themselves. Oh, in this day and age, why do you think that creative skills really matter for the current
Yeah,
age?
that's a great question. And I think what we've seen over the last even 20 years is an increased focus on creative skills. And in part, it's because the pace of change has increased. It's so rapid now that we know that there'll be new technologies, that if you learn software today, you will need to keep learning as you go forward because of the pace of advances. We see advances in terms of hardware and medicine and science in all fields. And there's a real priority placed on developing the skills that will help you be able to continue to solve new problems, because we know we'll be facing new challenges and new problems. So regardless of the industry that you're in, we see that creative skills are valued incredibly strongly. We also know that with increased automation, where we're looking at robots and machine learning and ways in which technology is really helping to do some of the work that people used to do, creative skills are quite hard to replace. And so as we look at what's valued, it's what makes us human. It's our ability to understand a problem, to come up with a new and innovative solution, and to implement that. And so I see that creative skills matter even more today. And I think that's only been underscored over the last year and a half, as globally we've faced a pandemic, we've faced tremendous economic challenges. And so the ability to recognize and adapt, to come up with new solutions is incredibly valuable for our societies and for us as individuals as well.
Yeah, I really agree with what you said. Like creative skills are one of the things that makes us human, and it's really difficult for our robots to replicate that.
Right.
That you mentioned that creative skills are really important in all kinds of fields such as medicine and hardware and also engineering. But more specifically, what do you think are the career opportunities that exist for creators?
Well, I think there are a number of things, and I'll start by saying that I think there are career opportunities across industries. So, as every industry that wants to tell its story is likely using video, they're likely creating images and relying on images. And so there are plenty of opportunities and increasingly opportunities across all different segments. We did a study recently looking at 2 million resumes and 2 million job postings to understand what skills are in the highest demand. And the industries we looked at were all the fastest growing industries. So it was data science, it was medicine, construction, education was one as well. And what we saw across all of these fields was that 3/4 of the resumes sought creative skills and communication skills. Really stood out as skills that matter tremendously. And so I think there's an opportunity, regardless of the field that you're interested in, to apply creative communication skills and creative problem solving skills. Then specifically within a creative economy, if you're interested in maybe working for a design firm or working for a company that creates videos, and that's the focus of what they do, what we're seeing, and this has been true in the last economic downturn in 2008 as well as now, that the creative industries experience real growth. They work counter to some of the trends when other industries are struggling. And so you'll see huge opportunities within the creative economy. It's growing rapidly, also evolving and innovating. And we've seen a strong drive towards digital. And so the folks who have been traditional creatives, there's a even stronger push to be digital in the ways in which you create and to leverage those particular toolkits. I think we also know that most employers value, 98% report that they are looking for creative skills. IBM did a study where they asked CEOs, what keeps you up at night? And they were worried about talent. They're worried about people who could help them solve new problems. We know that the essential skills that they're seeking are skills like folks who are tech savvy, who are comfortable learning and using new technologies. They also sought new employees who were digital and visual communicators. And then finally, they wanted employees who were creative problem solvers, who could help them address a rapidly changing world. So while they all seek these skills, 7 out of 10 report they have a hard time finding them. They have a hard time finding candidates who have these skills. So if you are already preparing for a career where you're looking at bringing to bear your communication skills, your creative problem solving skills, your digital skills, that puts you in an incredibly good position, whether you're going into a creative industry or you're working within any of the rapidly growing fields that we see.
Yeah, I think that's amazing how you analyzed everything like about that 2 million resumes and like the job listings. And yeah, it's very insightful to hear that in the current job market, the CEOs and recruiters really value creative and communication skills. So maybe do you have any advice for the people who are just starting out? What can they do to stand out for these recruiters?
Yeah. Well, absolutely. There's a lot that you can do. And I think one other thing I'll add is that the job market is increasingly global. And we've seen that over the last year and a half. I served on a panel recently with hiring managers who were talking about the fact that they were hiring, it didn't matter where people lived. They were hiring folks from all around the world. If there's one thing we've learned, it's that it's possible to work from anywhere. And so I think that's an interesting opportunity. For folks who are just starting out, I think what you've got is a chance to really think about the skills that you're developing and learn to learn. Expect to continue to learn. I think it's also incredibly helpful to begin to develop your own sense of what's important to you, your own style, your own creativity, and to nurture and foster those skills. I think the most important thing is actually to do the work. So whether if you're interested in interface design, you're creating something for a local business, whether you are taking photographs of friends, whatever it is that you have an opportunity to do, actually doing the work is the best preparation. I think if you are also just beginning, one of the challenges is if you don't have experience, it's hard to get that first job. It's hard to get someone to take you seriously as a creator. And there are a number of ways in which you can make that transition a little bit easier. One of them is by having a certification that allows you to demonstrate your skill and knowledge in a way that is meaningful, that's validated by the kinds of skills that industry is seeking, and it gives you a leg up. I will say one of the critical things is also to have a portfolio of your work. That's partly why I say do the work, because it will give you examples to show what your work looks like, your creative vision, the way in which you can create work to address and solve problems. And so I think that focus on developing your own skills, showcasing them through certification, also through examples of your work, and then carefully curating your portfolio so that it demonstrates both the breadth of what you can do and some of the depth as well.
Yeah, I think that's amazing advice from you, Casey. the one where we just need to put in the work. I think that really, yeah, that phrase is really nice. And I think that's really true with having portfolios and also certifications. It's really can be really helpful to help us get that first job in like the creative industry. So I know, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, about the
Well,
certification.
absolutely. And I think employers also often look at a portfolio first. They want to see, is your work good? And then they want to figure out, and can you do the work I have? Can you do what needs to be done in a way that's fast enough, that shows the right kinds of workflows? So if you've got your portfolio that gets your foot in the door, then part of the way you can stand out is by demonstrating the additional skills that you have. I think one of the other things that many people applying for their first jobs may not realize is that everything you do is part of showing who you are. So I was talking with a man who hired lots of lots of folks to produce videos. And he said he looked at the first thing he did, look at the portfolio to see what they'd done. And he said in 30 seconds, he could get a sense of, is the lighting right? Have they got the mic? Have they figured out the basics of this? And he said then he looked at the written communication, at their resume, at their email, to get a sense of how would this person communicate with clients? Would they be clear? Would their language be appropriate? Would we feel comfortable having them communicate with our customers? And then they would also look at, okay, do they have the real skills? Sometimes with the student resume, it's hard to know, did the student do the work on their own? Was it part of a group project? How much feedback did they have from an educator? And so a certification gives you an opportunity to have an objective analysis of, have you met these kinds of skills? Can you really demonstrate it? And so I think those things together, considering all the ways in which you present yourself and being thoughtful about each of them, will help you be successful.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really think that's so insightful, especially the one that where you said the recruiter will see all kinds of the way they send the emails, the way they communicate, and not just the portfolio. And I think, yeah, that's really amazing. Some job seekers may just think, oh, I need to perfect my portfolio, and sometimes they will miss out on the small things, so-called small things.
Mm-hmm.
That's really amazing. Yeah. Do you maybe have any other advice for creators who are maybe applying for jobs or just starting their way in the creative world?
Well, I think one thing to do is start building your network, your professional network, and the people that you work with, even the other students that you work with, someday they will also be professionals. And so considering that everyone you interact with is someone who can give you advice, who you can learn from, or who you can build a relationship with that may be helpful to you. I think sometimes people assume that it's only the hiring manager who matters. And frankly, it's anyone you talk to can be helpful to you. And so as you are developing your own skill, your own talent, and your own work, ask for advice. It doesn't mean you have to agree with the advice everyone gives you, but ask for it and listen to how people respond to your work, the kinds of things that make sense or that don't make sense. I think you can sometimes just asking for feedback helps you refine the way you think about your work and the way you talk about your work. And so part of that is practice. And so I don't be afraid to do that, and don't be afraid to try. I had the pleasure of working with a design student in Indonesia about 4 years ago who put her work on Behance, which is a platform for digital media. And she was discovered by a couple of folks who I worked with at Adobe. This is how I met her. They saw her work, and she ended up designing a project for the education team. And that's partly just because she put herself out and she showed her work, and her work came across as incredibly strong. And so people in San Jose, California saw this young woman's work and wanted to hire her to do a project, which was wonderful. And so to have an opportunity to get to know her and how she had done her work, she had just tried. She just put it out there to see what would happen and kept refining and kept improving her work. So I think those are all things that are important to consider, as both doing the work to building a network of professionals. It's a common practice in the United States. I don't know if this is common in Indonesia, but to reach out to professionals that you admire and ask to have a conversation with them. Folks often like to talk about themselves and to share advice to the next generation. And so I think that's something that certainly has been helpful for me in my career. as I've continued to learn and grow and find new opportunities.
Yeah, I think the story about the young woman from Indonesia who was able to get her amazing job opportunity by putting herself out there on Behance is really amazing. And yeah, I think one of the things that some people may not recognize when they're starting out early is that they're kind of afraid to put themselves out there and getting critics or feedbacks from others. But yeah, I also agree with you. I think that's the part where we can learn most from others by getting their feedbacks and just their perspective overall. Yeah, that's amazing. Do you have maybe any resources that you would suggest for creatives or us to check out to increase our creativity?
Sure. Well, there's creativity and inspiration all around you. So part of it is keep your eyes open and look for things that interest you. The woman I was talking about from Indonesia, she got really interested in lettering and hand lettering, and so she looked at restaurants where the menus were handwritten, and was inspired to create her own font based on the kinds of lettering that she saw just around her in her world. And so she found inspiration just locally where she was. I think there are also tremendous opportunities to seek inspiration online, whether it's on any of the social platforms. Follow the folks who you're interested in. YouTube has a wealth of information and examples. You can find a designer or a creator who you admire and learn about their process as well as diving into their work. Also, I would invite you to join us at Adobe Max, which is the world's largest creativity conference. It's taking place at the end of October. This year it's free and it's online, so everything is available to you. And it's a great place to see what professionals are doing. If you're a graphic designer, you're interested in video or UX design, you will find folks who are sharing their work, sharing what they're doing professionally, talking about their tips and tricks as well. But it's a great place to come and see what other folks are doing and find ways to engage and to participate. So I think that you can start just with what's right next door to you. And then also there's such a wonderful opportunity right now, as so many things are online. I think it's really possible to find great inspiration. I'll say for myself, I'm often quite inspired by the educators that I visit and the students and the work that they're doing. What I see in student work astonishes me. It's work I couldn't possibly do. And it's interesting to look at their inspiration and the way in which they think about and talk about their work. And so I do think that if you are interested in joining the competition, learning from the other folks in the competition is a great way to be inspired as well.
Yeah, I think it's amazing how you said that we can always seek inspiration, even in just our everyday lives. It doesn't need to be like something like so big, like just like the young woman from Indonesia, how she looked at the menu and got inspired to do her own lettering. Yeah, I think that's really cool. And yeah, the Adobe conference sounds like a super interesting conference. It can definitely be a really great place for students, educators, and everyone in general who are interested in Adobe and the creative industry to just learn more about this design and also network with people maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think also we can kind of agree that design is kind of a subjective field. And how can certification help students or educators become a better designer or help them enter the creative industries?
Yeah, there are a number of ways. And I think the first is that when we create the certifications, we work with industry leaders to understand what are the best workflows? What's the best way in which people are designing and how are they using tools to do that? What are the skills they would expect? And so I think in earning a certification or even preparing for a certification, part of what you learn is what's expected in industry. And you know that you have the confidence that you've learned the right kinds of things that will help you really stand out. We did some fascinating focus groups with young creators, people who had just started their careers. They were in their first or second job. And we asked them how they had prepared. And they were a variety of different ways. Some had gone to design schools. Some had prepared within their vocational schools. Some were entirely self-taught. They had just learned through YouTube and following particular folks they were interested in. And what really stood out is that the students who had prepared for certification were much more confident that they knew what they needed to know. Because the students who were self-taught were most concerned that there were gaps, that there were just things that they didn't know what they didn't know. And so they couldn't learn that. And so I think certification gives a roadmap to ensuring that you've got the right kinds of skills. And then as you're sharing with people that you're certified as well, that just gives an additional degree of confidence. When I talk to employers, whether they're from design agencies or from in the general economy, they are interested in understanding what hard skills students bring, but they're very hard to assess. So they look at the portfolio, but it's hard to know exactly where is a student's proficiency and how broad is their understanding. And so I think certification gives individuals the confidence that they've learned the right things. And it also helps an employer feel confident that this is a candidate who really knows the right kinds of skills, who's going to be able to do the kind of work that will be required of them. And so I think that certification adds this additional measure into a field where it is certainly subjective, where if you need someone to produce a video, you certainly want them to bring a design sensibility to it, but you also want them to bring the technical knowledge and skills to be able to do it quickly and to do it in a way that is likely to be successful.
Yeah, I totally agree. Especially with, I think one of the downsides of self-taught is you don't know what you don't know, like what you said before, and getting a certification will definitely help filling those gaps and just build their confidence in general. So I also really like the part where you, maybe do you have any inspiration or role model that you want to share with us?
Let's see, inspiration or a role model. Are you asking about my career or what's?
Yeah, in general for
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the places I find inspiration are even just within my family, where we've been this year where I've spent a lot of time at home, a lot of time with my son. Some of what inspires me is when we're forced to be creative, when we have limited options. And so as I look back and think about what are the things that inspired me over this last year, it was growing vegetables. It was going for walks in my neighborhood. It was looking at the changing seasons at a different pace than I would have ordinarily, and almost spending more time looking closely than looking broadly. And so I think the inspiration for me sometimes comes from constraints. It comes from not having endless opportunities, but being forced to really focus on the world that's in front of me. That perhaps is a strange answer, but it's a particularly honest answer given where we've all been.
Yeah, no, I really like your answer. I think like it's really lovely how you find inspiration in the within your family and also the little things that you see in your everyday life. Yeah, and yeah, it didn't feel like 30 minutes have already flied by, and unfortunately, you cannot join us any longer. But thank you so much again for your time. And if you don't mind, would you like to take a picture with us for documentation purposes?
Yes, I would love it. Thank you.
If everyone can just turn on their camera for a bit and take a picture with Daisy, that will be really appreciated. Thank you. Kananga will help us with taking the picture.
Okay. Okay. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Once again, wait. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much again for your time, Daisy. It was really insightful and inspiring also. I really like your last answer to the question about what inspires you. So thank you again for your.
Well, thank you. What a wonderful interview. It was really lovely to speak with you. And I wish you all well as you go forward as creators. I look forward to seeing what you create.
Yeah, it was really nice chatting with you. We hope to really see you again. I think we can now move on to the next session. Thank you so much again, Tracy. We will now move on to the Q&A session, which will also be joined by our amazing speaker, Rosie Capron. Everyone who has
Hey everyone.
Hi Rosie, how are you?
I'm good. I've been looking forward to this all day. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, we already have quite a lot of questions in the chat box here, and also anyone who prefers to raise their hand and maybe unmute later after being called on, you are also really welcome to do so. So yeah, maybe we can start on with the first question from our participants. Let's see. The first question will be from Nazlah Nurdina, asking how to make our certification stand out to know that we are really qualified. And do you have some of your favorite stories of Adobe Certified Professional?
Oh, those are both good questions. So in terms of making it stand out, I mean, obviously the certification itself already stands out. I mean, Tacey and I do spend a lot of time talking, to employers, and it is comforting when an employer comes across, someone with certification, because occasionally when hiring people, there's this moment of fear, right? You're bringing on someone new, you've only had some interviews with them. Everyone at some point has hired someone who said they knew Photoshop or said they knew Premiere Pro. And maybe they did for their purposes, for making, a Instagram photo look better, something simple like that, but who really didn't have the kind of depth of knowledge that they needed for the job. And so when someone sees the certification badge that we give you, and you put that in your portfolio or on your resume, there's kind of a sigh of relief, because they can trust, like, okay, I'm going to bring someone on, they're going to have a base level knowledge that's going to allow them to be successful on the job, and that itself is something that catches people's eyes. Absolutely. In terms of so this sounds like a cheap answer, but I will say another I think thing that helps is earning more than one. And I'm not just saying that because it's my job to get people certified, but we do offer these specialty credentials. Hopefully you all have heard of those, where, for example, if you pass the Premiere Pro exam and then you also pass the After Effects exam, you get to have a specialty credential for video design. Or if you do Photoshop and InDesign, then you get to have a specialty credential for visual design. And I say that, I bring that up because if an employer is choosing between two people, one who knows Premiere Pro, or they both know Premiere Pro, but one also knows After Effects, you're going to go with the person who's going to be able to take on more work, right? Who's going to be able to do a wider range of projects, who's going to be able to do more interesting work because they have more tools at their disposal, right? If Photoshop is an incredibly powerful tool. We all know that. That's usually, your first love when it comes to Adobe, right? Most people start with Photoshop. My first love was InDesign, but if you know Photoshop, but you also, let's say, know InDesign, just the nature of the kinds of projects that you're able to work on, it's great as an employer to know that you have someone who's ready, not just to work on images, but to do layout design, or to, let's say, if it's Illustrator, to do work that requires vector images and the things that Illustrator is really special for, or someone who has experience with Adobe Animate, and can do animation work. So all of the certifications stand out. All of them, of course, give you an edge. But I will say that getting multiple of them is certainly in your best interest, and just taking full advantage of Creative Cloud, right? What makes it special is that we have so many tools that you can make literally anything. So really push yourself to expand your skill set. It's a long answer, but something I care about. In terms of favorite stories, I mean, we have so many. It's hard to pick. I mean, I feel like we have the ones that are kind of near to my heart. I'd say are the ones where it feels like you have people who, let's say, are fresh out of school, and so they haven't had a real job yet, and so they don't have a lot of professional experience, but they know that they have the talent. Maybe they don't have a ton in their portfolio yet because they're young, And like certification is that thing that gets an employer to take a chance on them so they can finally have their job. And, you know, success sort of builds on itself, right? Like once you get one job, it's easier to get the next job, it's easier to get the next job. But getting that first one, taking that first leap, you need someone to take a chance on you. And certification is the thing that facilitates that. So whenever I talk to, you know, a recent grad or even someone who is still a student who does freelance work, and they know that that's the one thing that helped them finally snag those first opportunities, those are the ones that, you know, make me the happiest to hear.
Yeah, that's really lovely to hear. Like having a certification can help set the standard and like show the employers that they are actually capable of doing the work, and having that one first company or one first person who gave them the chance to work for their job. Yeah, that's really amazing how certification can help us achieve that. And also my first love was actually Photoshop as well. So yeah. And
Of course.
I believe that you have a presentation that you would like to share with us.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I just really wanted to kind of breeze through a bunch of resources that often I find out that people don't know about. And I want to make sure that everyone here at least, you know, finds out hopefully about a couple that they don't know about. So I just run through those. And I don't know if you intend on sending a follow-up email to everyone who registered, but I will, of course, send you all of these links so that everyone you know, doesn't have to quickly try to screenshot the URLs or anything, because you will get the links. But I will share my screen.
Certainly.
All right. Okay, hopefully this works. Can you see my browser window?
Yes, we can see.
Awesome. Well, of course, the thing that sort of brought us here today, because it's the thing that helped form our partnership with you folks at MyEduSolve is the Adobe Certified Professional program, which many of you know was recently known as Adobe Certified Associate. So for those of you who haven't yet done it, what are you waiting for? I do want to encourage you to take that next step. So this is our new website. The name change is something that we are all very excited about. You know, it's something, the number of people who are established professionals who are earning these certifications, sometimes many years into their career, is really growing quickly. You know, people might be upskilling, they might be, you know, wanting to just test their knowledge, they might be expanding, you know, they might be graphic designers who really want to get into special effects. So they're earning a certification to help them, you know, branch out. So part of what inspired this was this growing realization that we had people who, you know, weren't just students and recent grads, but you know, also professionals who demanded these certifications. And we just feel like the name more accurately reflects the people who are doing this and earning this. I recall at Adobe Max one year, the conference that Tacey mentioned that we'll talk about in a moment, when we first released our new live in the application exams. These exams are integrated with Creative Cloud software. So you are, you know, you're answering multiple choice questions, but you're also completing a task inside Photoshop, inside Premiere Pro, which is so cool. And I remember we showed this for the first time at Adobe Max, and a woman who I'd spoken to earlier who had been a graphic designer for years took the test, she passed, and she came out and she said that it was hard in a good way. And that was so satisfying. And we knew that because we had these new exams where you can't fake it, you're in the real software, that we really had something that was worthy of the name Adobe Certified Professional. So I hope that you guys will all check it out. I think you have the perfect you know, resource with MyEduSolve. I'm always amazed whenever I hear what they're up to. You know, obviously they can help you take the certification, help you prepare for it. And you really have a special partner available to you here. I do also want to specifically point out the championship. I think at the end of the session, we're going to be watching a video you guys made. So I'm excited about that. The Adobe Certified kind of World Championship is this awesome opportunity where students from all over the world, you know, come together, ideally in person. Of course, this year, that's not the case. And you have a real client that you're designing for, a nonprofit client, and you only have a few hours, and you have a creative brief like you would in the real world, you know, about what it is that they want designed, the style, the specifications. and you have to design something for this client. It's an awesome experience. And of course, there are national championships that feed up to it. I think the one that my EduSolve hosts is just particularly special because, you know, they make a point of, you know, adding mentorship opportunities and just ways to learn. So it's more than a competition. And I hope that you all make a point of participating, because I will say Adobe is very impressed with the work that they have put in to plan such an incredible experience for students. To quickly show off some of the other ones, I just briefly wanted to remind folks that if you have, you know, a Creative Cloud All Apps subscription, that you have all of these at your disposal. Again, you have your first love. I know you might have Photoshop, you might have Premiere Pro, but challenge yourself to branch out. Challenge yourself to try Aero and, you know, do cool, you know, augmented reality work. Challenge yourself to, you know, make a foray into web design, or XD, which is my new favorite, you know, for user experience design. It's such an intuitive tool. It is awesome. Like, just make a point of challenging yourself to branch out. I think most folks are aware of, you know, Creative Cloud Learn and Support. This is where you would go, you know, for your user guide. It's where you go for tutorials. It's often like a great first place to start. Well, now the best first place to start is the in-app learning. Many of you have probably noticed that now when you launch something like Premiere Pro or Animate for the first time, there's sort of a little learning sequence. There's these short little projects that you can do to help you get comfortable with the software. I love those. Those have kind of made me more comfortable with branching out and trying new applications. But of course, there are great articles and, you know, videos and projects and whatnot. Another way to do that is to log into your Adobe account and really to go to your Creative Cloud home. And they've just got endless, super cool content in terms of, you know, all of these new articles about advice for if you are a freelancer, advice for your portfolio, advice for remote working. You know, that's something that many of us have had trouble adjusting to, or getting through creative blocks. I know someone actually in the comments mentioned, like, what do you do when you're having a kind of artistic block? How do you get out of that? That's not my specialty, so I can't provide great advice, but hopefully this article can. So I encourage you to look through here. You know, try some of these super cool projects, and they do interviews with people, things like that. Much of this content comes from Adobe Max. As Tacey mentioned, this is the most amazing conference, not to be biased, my favorite event of the year, with just tons of sessions led by incredible people. You know, plenty of them are very, you know, some of them are technical about, you know, advanced techniques for Premiere Pro, or, you know, beginner's guide to After Effects. But there's also advice from, you know, business leaders, advice from people that's about your career, about your kind of, you know, creative approach to projects. So this content is free and available all year. On October, I can't remember the precise dates, October 26th to 28th, we will have this year's one. I really hope you are all there. And it's just my favorite time of the year. I also want to call attention to Behance, and specifically Behance Live, or Adobe Live on Behance, which is pretty much nearly every moment of the day, someone is live streaming, or at least Adobe is replaying live streams of, you know, creatives around the world showing off. Oh, actually, I love that this is Natalie Palumbo, because she loves Adobe certification. She has earned, if not all of them, almost all of them. Oh, she got her badges here. I'm happy this is here. This is the perfect place to go. You know, again, some of this is about things like leadership and creativity, but some of it is just about really cool techniques. Sometimes I go on here just because it's very satisfying to watch, you know, a designer make something beautiful, just sort of relaxing. This is a great resource. It is also, of course, a great place to be posting your work, as Tacey mentioned. So for those of you who don't have a Behance yet, put yourself out there, share your work, get feedback, give feedback. I know sometimes Behance can make people feel intimidated because some of the work is so incredible, but it's a great place to get inspiration and to learn, and of course, to get opportunities. So I would encourage that as well. Another thing that I love about Behance and Adobe Live is the creative challenges. So especially, again, for the person who said they're in a creative rut, this is a great way to force yourself to create new work. So there's these challenges every day where you can go and push yourself to do something new in Photoshop, do something new in Illustrator, just to keep yourself creative. I actually know a lot of people for whom during the pandemic, having this as a way to keep themselves motivated, make them feel connected to other people has been super special and really important for their artistic growth. Adobe Portfolio, again, another way to showcase your work. This is something that comes with your Creative Cloud subscription. It is obviously just makes it a lot easier for you to showcase your work in a very aesthetically pleasing way. For those of you who maybe want something simpler, or maybe you don't have a Creative Cloud subscription, especially since Adobe Spark is free, I do want to call attention to this tool. Or if you're just in a hurry and you don't always have the time to make something perfect in InDesign, but you want to put together a social media image, I love Adobe Spark. And so there's like web pages that many people will use this actually as a portfolio because it's just a nice way to show your images. But you can also use it to put together graphics. I'm always surprised when people don't know about Adobe Spark yet. Just a few more for you. The Adobe Creative Career Community on Discord is my favorite place. It has 13,000 members. I hope that after today's event, it has 13,055 plus however many are on this call, because this place is awesome. I'll actually show you. Hopefully I don't have any messages open. But so this is a community that's really exclusively for people like you who are trying to build their creative skills, build their network. And whether you are just like chit-chatting with people, whether you are getting critiques on your work so you can produce better work, we have events, we have contests, all sorts of things. And this is just a great way to meet people, around the world who are just like you. So please, one of the first things I would urge you to do after this, make a Discord account if you don't have one, and go to discord.com/invite/ACC. Get in on this. You're missing out if you're not in there already. They also have a great newsletter, which is the Adobe Creative Career Newsletter, that just comes around monthly, I believe, or maybe twice a month. And it's always just full of job advice, full of links to design contests that are going on, things like that. We use that to draw attention to other opportunities, like, for example, the Adobe Creative Residency, and just other ways that Adobe kind of, tries to provide support, financial and otherwise, for people, to pursue their creative careers. So we've got fellowships, we've got scholarships, things like that. The Adobe Creative Residency is something that I find particularly cool. Even if you don't feel ready to apply for it, just learning more about the people who are the creative residents for a year is just a great way to learn new things and get inspired. They always choose such a great group of people. And they always, they share their work, but they also do events. And it's just a really neat opportunity, both for those who are participating and those who are just learning from the residents. And I guess the very last thing, I know that this call is mostly not educators, but as Tacey mentioned, we've got the Adobe Education Exchange, which just has tons of materials for educators. It has, online courses. We have community programs that are accessed to this as well, so that you can start kind of building connections with, fellow educators who teach, the same subjects as you, but on the other side of the planet. And it's just an awesome place for any of you who are teaching. And then, of course, we have some certification resources on there as well. And even for those of you who don't teach, let's say, digital media classes, but you teach history or science, we have resources for those people as well, to just help add more creativity to their courses. So that was a flurry of materials, and I've gone over time, but I hope that you all will take advantage of those. I'll make sure that you get those links, because Adobe has more to offer, I think, than most folks realize. So are there additional questions? Or Alina, do you have any questions? Oh, you are on mute.
Sorry about that. Thank you so much for sharing all those resources, like the Adobe Spark and like the Adobe Discord. I think that's really amazing. I've only known about that, and it's something that's just on a touch of a fingertip, and it's really, it's, if we missed out on that, it will be really yeah, sad since we can get great opportunities from those resources. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing
Definitely.
those. I also saw
Thank you
that,
for
yeah,
thank you for having me.
yeah, I also saw that in the Adobe Discord. There's also like office hours, and that's like amazing.
Yeah, they really do a great job, that team, of also of bringing in mentorship is something they absolutely like to facilitate. Whether it's something like, opportunity to just ask, questions to successful creatives who come in for office hours or things like that. Or I think they've done things in the past where these sort of, contests and activities where one of the things that you can win is like a one-on-one mentorship session with someone, who's very established and would be very helpful. It's a really great place. And especially if you ever get lonely during the pandemic or just feeling uninspired, check it out. Feel free to shoot me a message on there. I feel old for Discord. I'm still learning how to use it. I don't play video games, so I'm not on Discord except for this purpose. So anyway, I'm excited for you all to join.
Yeah, I feel Discord is a bit confusing, but definitely Adobe makes it so worth it. So yeah, I hope participants get their questions answered from your presentation before. Thank you again for sharing all those amazing resources that can help whether students or educators and everyone just grow their personal brand and also their creativeness. And unfortunately, we've also already reached near the end of the event, and we would like to inform the winner for the giveaway first. So yeah, we have here the official winners for both the Wacom Indonesia and also the Adobe Certified Professional certificate.
Oke, everyone who Oke, semuanya yang namanya ada di sini nanti dari tim kami yang akan menghubungi. Thank you, Alina.
Thank you, Kasifa. And once again, we would also like to show our gratitude to all of our partners and media partners. But before that, yeah, thank you so much again, Rosie. All those resources were amazing. Adobe Spark and Discord. I really hope that the participants can make use of that because it will definitely lead them to great opportunities. Thank you so much.
And one thing I did forget to mention, this is a sneak peek, but we are working on a community within that Discord that would only be for people who have their Adobe Certified Professional certification. So you will get messaging about that, something just to look forward to, and of course, just another great reason to get certified.
Yeah, that's really a wonderful opportunity, especially during the pandemic. It can really help everyone just connect and meet new people. And before we close, do you mind if we take a quick picture again with all the participants just for documentation purposes?
Yeah, of course. Just make sure to send me the photo afterwards. I want it.
Yeah, everyone, if you could please turn on your camera again for a bit and we can take a quick picture with Rosie. Kananga will help with taking the picture of everyone.
Sure. Okay. Okay. Everyone's ready? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Once again, wait. Okay. 1. Oh, the second slide. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. And we would also like to introduce my Adosolve community before we really close the event. My Adosolve community is a community formed as a forum for sharing, discussing, and exchanging information about education, careers, and other interesting topics. There's so many benefits by joining my Adosolve community, such as expanding your network, getting early access for events, exclusive offers, and also getting updates and tips and tricks for your career. To join, you can also directly click the link bit.ly/messcommunity, which has also been written in the screen and will also be written in the chat box column. And once again, we would like to thank our partners and media partners. Thank you to Adobe Certified Professional, Certiport, A-Star Solution, Niaga Hoster, Codex Telkom Indonesia, Wacom Indonesia, Daily Social, Block 71, and all the other university student organizations who have helped and supported our events. Thank you so much again. Oh, yeah, we would also like to share the Microsoft Office Specialist and Adobe Certified Professional video, and we would like to share the excitement of the previous championship, which was attended by 500 plus participants from 28 schools all over Indonesia. Kanala will now show us a brief video.
Selamat pagi dan selamat datang dalam acara MOS Plus AK National Championship 2019.
Hari ini kalian akan berkompetisi untuk memberikan yang terbaik kepada bangsa dan negara Indonesia yang sama-sama kita cintai.
Kembangkanlah terus kemampuan dan bakat kalian di bidang IT. Ciptakan kreativitas dan inovasi sehingga kalian dapat dikatakan sebagai generasi berprestasi IT.
Di masa depan ini, kreativitas dan inovasi menjadi kunci. Kita nggak bisa lagi mendidik anak kita sekarang ini misalnya asal-asalan saja, hanya sekedar untuk punya skill. Tapi kalau skill itu bisa digantikan oleh robot, itu juga akan jadi maju. Bantulah dunia pendidikan, karena disitulah letak kemuliaan. Mereka suka kamu karena mereka suka dengan kontennya.
Aku yakin semua anak di sini bakal jadi orang-orang hebat di tanah air kita.
Kita berikan tepuk tangan untuk para pemenang dari setiap kategori yang sudah dilombakan dalam MOS Plus akan National Championship 2019.
As you can see, it was a really exciting event, and we will also be hosting the Microsoft Office Specialist and Adobe Certified Professional Championship 2021 very soon. So make sure that you have already started to apply for the event and make sure to join the fun with everyone there. And yeah, that will be the end for today's event. Thank you so much again for the great participation from all of you. And thank you so much again, Rosie, and also Tacy, for the wonderful messages and the insightful materials that you shared. It was a really lovely experience to hear your perspective and also your presentation about Adobe and the creative industry. You may now leave this meeting, everyone. Thank you so much and have a good day.